we go. We're live.
What's up, CineNerds here?
Some technical difficulties, but we are rolling. I am JP.
I'm Ryan.
And I'm James.
And we're your CineNerds. And we have a very special guest this evening with Mr. William Butler.
How's it going?
Hey guys, how's it going? Thank you for having me on.
Oh yeah, thank you for coming. We're trying to stay warm here. It's been cold in Ohio.
Yeah, so what's the weather like? What's the weather like there?
It can't make up its mind as usual because it's Ohio.
Yeah,
right.
It's 60 one day, then it's 25 the next. So
that's another day in Ohio.
Yeah. So, and we were just talking. You've been here, so I'm sure you've gotten a taste of it.
Yep. Well, one day it's 70 degrees, and the next day it's waist deep snow. It's awesome. We were filming there. We were doing the Baby Oopsie series. People would tell me, you probably want to buy like 3 days worth of groceries. I was like, what? Are you crazy? And then sure enough, we couldn't get the door open to get to the grocery store.
You've been here for some of our finer moments.
Yeah, I absolutely love it there. I'd probably move there if I wasn't so chicken shit, but it is a really great place. Of course, I would want to live in like Cleveland Heights,
Yeah.
I've had a taste of every bit of Ohio, and so Cleveland Heights has to be, I have to say, my fave. We filmed out in Mansfield. I don't know if you guys know where that is.
Yeah.
These guys played last year.
We played with Incarceration. We played with Limp Bizkit and
POD.
Cool.
Yeah. Coal Chamber.
Yeah. I worked with Kurtz. I've known Bob Kurtzman since I was 17. So we went out to Crestline and we filmed a little kids movie out there a couple years ago. And I was in Crestline for a while. And I was in Mansfield. Oh my gosh! And then just almost 3 solid years in Cleveland, which I really, really like filming there. It's great. The people are so great in Ohio. It's very different than here in Los Angeles.
Without a doubt. I have a friend who lives out there as well, and it's I would say it's a little more personable here. That's all.
Yes, I mean the thing that's great about filming there is you're like, oh, I wish we had money for a cherry picker, and then somebody on the crew raises their hand like, my brother has a cherry picker. He'll be here tomorrow morning. It's like, problem solved. Like, there's a lot of that, Here, people are charging you for the squares of toilet paper. It's people walk across the room and the meter's running, so it's not quite as a fun filmmaking experience for the independent filmmaker.
And I've been out California a number of times, being on tour. The last time I was out there last year. And I had decided, we had a day off, and I had decided I was like, I'm going to the movies. And Terrifier 2 had just came out. And so I was like, we had the van, we had the trailer, so I wasn't going to be able to take the van and trailer. And I had took an Uber to like the closest theater that was playing Terrifier, and it ended up costing me like $60 or $70, and it was literally like 5-10 minutes up the road. It wasn't even a far drive.
Yeah, parking at Universal is like $30, and then they'll give you part of it back when you go into the movie. They give part of it back, but then the popcorn and soda cost that same $30. It's really crazy.
Is it
absolutely crazy? Good theater though, really good movie theaters. Awesome sound system, I will say. But you better plan on spending $60 if you're gonna go.
I can't remember.
It's an expensive world.
I can't remember the theater that I went to, but it was like one of the coolest theaters. I will say it's one of the coolest theaters I had ever been in, because we were in Santa Ana, I think is where we stayed at, and the theater I went to was like almost like a punk rock theater, and it seemed like they played like a bunch of independent films and a lot of like old exploitation films and old horror films and stuff. And I thought it was one of the coolest little theaters I had ever been to across the country, and I had a blast.
There's a lot of those here. There's also still VHS stores, and I mean, it's the entertainment capital of the
Yeah.
world. So there's pretty much anything you want movie wise you can get here.
Well,
Yeah.
I was saying Cleveland's a little more personable. I feel there's definitely that intense sense of adventure and fun, a much more fun atmosphere in LA. We'll say for that. That's definitely.
Yeah, in that regard. Yeah.
All right, let's get into the meat and potatoes here. Let's dive in. I like
Sure,
talking to
man.
personal aspects, but you've got such an amazing career that I really want to kind of jump in here and start getting into some of this. So
Okay.
for me, I'll start off just by talking about the big one for me. So when I was 6 years old, the first horror film I ever saw was the original Night of the Living Dead. I was 6, and my neighbor, my neighbor came. It was that and Porky's the same day, so it just tells you a little bit about me.
great.
These are core moments,
that's a
considering
good
you're
double.
how old now and you remember that.
Yeah, but so Night of the Living Dead always resonates as a strong starting point for my love of horror. And so when the remake was made in the 90s, even though I was 6 when I first saw the original, that new one hit with me so much deeper and on such a bigger level. So to be able to have you on the show and talk about that a little bit really meant a lot to me. So could you talk a little bit about that specific experience?
Yeah. Well, first of all, thank you. I am actually very proud that I'm in that movie as a horror nerd myself. My entire career is jaw-dropping for a person who's a fan of horror and who is a person who's employed by horror. That in itself is such a blessing and such a great thing. In regards to Night of the Living Dead, by the time that I got involved in Night of the Living Dead, I had already been in the Chainsaw Massacre, and I'd been in one of the Friday the 13th films, and I went on location with Viggo Mortensen. He and I lived in the same house, and I went to the Young Guns 2 location to hang out, and while I was there,
Jesus.
John Vulich was my best friend who I grew up with. He's passed away, but Johnny Vulich was an award-winning special effects artist. He did the vampires in Buffy, and he did the X-Files. He did, Babylon 5. He was very well known. And he called me and said that he was in Pittsburgh, and he heard my name was mentioned for consideration for the Night of the Living Dead remake, which I almost fainted.
That's awesome.
Because I'm such a huge George Romero fan. One of my favorite films is the original Dawn of the Dead. Watch it like at least once a year. I just couldn't believe that I was being considered for it. So this is before email, and this is before fax, anything. So they mailed me a hard copy of the script. I read the script. Of course I liked it. And I called my agent and was like, yeah, I have to tape as soon as I can. And Viggo and I had this stupid, one of those original big clunky like camcorders. So we worked on the scene, which was the really long monologue that I do when I come out of the basement. And Viggo taped me. And then we sent the tape to Savini and George Romero. And I didn't hear anything for like a month. So at that point, I was pretty good about forgetting auditions directly after doing them. So I didn't, jump out a window from sadness. So I didn't really think about it. And then when we got back, no, we didn't. No, we were still there. And I heard that they liked me. And it was like, I was in the mix. And I was like, okay. I just was like, normally back then, now everything's done through Zoom, but back then you had to go into the room and meet them, and they, you kind of vibe it and see if you can work together. And I didn't have that opportunity because I was out on location with him. And so when I got back, my agent called me and said, it's between you and another guy now. I was like, what the hell? And they're like, can you read again? I said, yeah. So I read some other scene. I can't even remember what it was. Very small scene, actually. And then the next thing I knew, they told me that I got it. And I just could not believe it. I talked to Savini on the phone, and he said that I had gotten the job and that George really liked me. And I was just so overwhelmed. And then the movie got put on hold for a while. I want to say it was like 3 months.
I remember reading that it got put. It was pushed back a bit. Yeah.
Yeah, and I kind of, I was so excited to be asked to the party that I almost didn't believe that it could be true. So when I heard that it was put on hold, I was like, oh, well, of course it's put on hold because this isn't going to happen because I'm not going to be in the greatest horror film of all time, in my opinion. And I was like, okay. So then 3 months went by, and then it was one of those things where I got a call, and they're like, you have to come to Pittsburgh tomorrow morning. I was like, okay. So I got on a plane and I flew out there, and everyone was there, and they put us in this hotel, and I had to go learn how to shoot a gun. I was such a dummy. I did such a good job on the audition convincing them that I was this dopey redneck when in fact I was anything but. And I got there. I'd never even held a gun. I didn't even realize a gun was so heavy. I was such a dork. And I got there and I had to train with the shotgun. They took me out and we went out shooting guns, and it was really fun. And that's basically how I got involved in it. And it was an amazing shoot.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Unbelievably amazing.
Yeah. And for me, I'm not a big remake guy. But a couple of remakes that always stood out to me that I love, one of them being the 80s Blob, and the other one being the Savini 1990 Night of the Living Dead. I'm a huge fan of the 80s Blob too. I read for that one too, actually. Oh, really?
I didn't get it. I was
yeah.
that, but I love that remake. Yeah. I don't think the Night of the Living Dead that I was in, I don't think is a better one, but I think it's by that time there was a lot of young people that had never even seen the original. And there's this whole contingency of dumb people that won't watch black and white movies. So there was a lot of people that hadn't seen it. So I think we did a pretty good job considering that it had a very big, large reputation to hold up to.
I don't think, like, if I had to, like, just throw my 2 cents in as a viewer, like, I don't think there's any point of that movie that I didn't appreciate or love that didn't hold true to the original and stay the course. It was just wonderful. So bravo, happy to have you.
And I'll
thank you. All I can tell you is it was completely terrifying. My first day was that really hard monologue where I do like 5 pages where I talk about my uncle, and I think I was sitting on an apple box, even though I don't know the movie. I don't know why it would be an apple box, but I'm pretty sure I was sitting on an apple box. Maybe I was supposed to be kneeling. But George Romero was, and that's my first hour of filming. George Romero was sitting 4 feet away from me, watching my every word, and I just kept thinking, I am going to be fired by the end of the first page of this. Like, I just can't. And then I got through the first monologue, and I looked over at him. He smiled and gave me a thumbs up, and I was like, "Oh, thank God I'm not fired." Every day I just
awesome.
was like, him and his wife Chris were right there the whole time.
Kind of piggybacking off of what Ryan had just said with one of his first experiences. I remember, and I don't think I can't remember which one I saw first, if it was Friday the 13th or Texas Chainsaw Massacre, but Texas Chainsaw Massacre always stands out to me because
it's a great movie. Yeah,
Texas Chainsaw 3 was actually the first Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie I had ever seen. I never saw the original, had not seen part 2 at the time. And
that's a bummer.
And when 3 came out, and I was pretty young when it came out. I think
right.
I was probably maybe between 8 and 10 probably. And when it came out, I watched it, and I was like, I love this. And for years, even after I went back and watched the first and second one, for years I was like, Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3 is my favorite. And
you're awesome.
I love that film.
Boy.
And the fact that what's his name? I can never remember his name, but the guy from Dawn of the Dead is in it.
Ken Foray.
Thank you. I always remembered him being in it, and there was so many things that always stuck out to me about that movie, and especially the scene where you're changing the tire and you hear in the background somebody moving. I still to this day I think that scene is just fantastic. I think it's just one of the greatest scenes in Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Thank you. Many things about that scene. Number one, it's also my favorite scene. And number two, I honestly learned how to change a tire in like 5 minutes. After that, I could anyone could call me and I'd be like, stand back, give me the jack. I got really good at changing a tire. And also I met one of my closest friends on that movie, Kate Hodge, who literally is in the next room. We still are friends. We actually live in the same house together now.
That's awesome.
But we had so much fun filming that movie. It was a blast, and that scene was really fun and really scary also. A lot of times they've used a real chainsaw in that, so we didn't have any problem at all being motivated to be scared, since both RA and Kane was also one of the guys that was handling the chainsaw, so Kane Hodder. And Kane likes to push it. So.
I knew Kane Hodder did the original trailer. I didn't know he actually filmed for the movie.
Oh, was that Kane in the trailer too?
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah, I knew that he filmed in the trailer.
It does kind of look like the way he's standing. It does look like. I always wondered who that was. You know what's so weird is that summer, I have the hiccups. I'm sorry. I'd gone to the movies to see some movie, and I saw that Chainsaw, trailer that they were airing before they even filmed the movie, before I even auditioned for it. And then I ended up being in the movie, which is a complete trip.
Yeah.
My whole career, a complete trip. I'm a viewer. I'm a horror film viewer. So the idea that I just had, there was something about my face that made America want to hit me in the face with a hatchet, somehow backdoored me into all these films that I was so happy to be a part of, Really lucky.
But to that point too, I feel you have a very eclectic portfolio, because you have Power Rangers in the mix too. So I mean,
I do.
Yeah, it's quite impressive as it's going down this. I'm going to pause for.
I just got.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, sure.
I was just going to say I'm going to pause just because we do have a couple people who are asking questions in the live. So are you okay with me giving you a couple of those?
Sure. I'm wondering what they might be, but yes, absolutely.
Well, the first one.
The answer to every question is yes.
Yes. All right. The first one was, any chance you'll be at the Night of the Living Dead weekend in June?
Night of the Living Dead weekend in June. Where is that one at?
Do you have info on
That
that?
I don't
Pittsburgh?
know. It was just something that was asked.
I think that's in Pittsburgh. I do think that's in Pittsburgh.
We'll find out.
I don't know if they're going to have me back. My experience at the last one was so wild. Maybe. I'm always down. If I'm not working, I'm always down to go do those kind of things. I absolutely love anything zombie. I'm obsessed with. So I would certainly be there if I'm invited, and I'm not fortunate enough to be working. I have a lot of things coming up, which I'm super excited about.
Real quick, we'll do one other question. Let's see. What was your inspiration to become an actor? What movie? Like I talked about Night of the Living Dead for me.
Well,
What's your vibe?
Right. I grew up around theater. I'm from a small town, so we all did these plays in the small town. And then my mother and father did backstage catering for rock concerts and for the circus, for Barnum and Bailey, for the carnival and the fair circuit. So I was around show business from a very early age, from around 12. So I always kind of felt I liked being around those kind of people, and I liked the set up and tear down kind of vibe of circus. My mother and father had given me a Super 8 camera in the 5th grade, and I was just completely obsessed with making movies, much to their chagrin, because it was very expensive to do all that stuff. But it's really all I could think about. That, Famous Monsters magazine, and reading Edgar Allan Poe was my complete obsession. And then about the time that VHS tapes rolled around and I saw Phantasm and Night of the Living Dead, Dawn of the Dead, it was just like movies like that. But I just never thought, because I'm kind of a dork, I was just thinking, well, where would I fit into these kind of films? And I actually ended up fitting in. It wasn't by my own doing, though. I just was like, oh yeah. I think also I kind of manifested it, because I would go into appointments, like for instance, for Ghoulies 2, I would just go in there like I already had the part, because I was so excited to be there. And I think that energy shined through. And, a lot of it a lot of those auditions, about 50% of it is whether or not the director and the production crew want to hang out with you. I mean, that's the truth. It's like, if you go in there and, unless you're Meryl Streep or Robert De Niro, and you truly knock their socks off on these smaller movies, it's like, I could spend a month around him. He seems like he won't be a pain in the ass. I mean, I think that's a lot of my bookings were based on the fact that I shut up and didn't complain about my hotel room,
Yeah.
That's fair. Having humility in certain instances matters a lot.
Well, yeah.
I explained this to I've got employees as well, and I've explained it to them before too. Like, I started out at minimum wage level, and you got to just put in that work and show up, and some of that goes hand in hand with what you're saying too, and even in your industry. So and I think us three all can understand what you're saying too. I run a concert venue, these guys are touring in their band, we all have kind of the itch in the entertainment industry. It's definitely got the allure. So when you start doing it when you're younger and you grow with it, it stays with you for sure.
Yeah.
Well,
now I'm like,
I was saying, and to feed off what you were saying, I get, as a musician, especially, I go out I'll be on these big fucking shows, where it's just like you could look out and there's just a sea of people, and or big tours and touring with guys. Yeah, I toured with a band called Gemini Syndrome, which had Megs from Cold Chamber plays guitar for him. Cold Chamber was like one of my big influences growing up, and so it was like I go out on tour with this guy. It's like I become friends with this guy that I kind of idolized, and it was a weird weird dynamic for me. But
I know it's really
yeah. But then it's like you get in there, and it's just like you just have to walk around like you own this, and you're not shy. You get on stage and you show the people, hey, I belong here.
Yeah.
But you do it tastefully without being coming off arrogant.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I think the only time you're 100% right on that.
Yeah.
And usually by now I'm pretty good. Like, I'm not starstruck by anyone. I will tell you, the one time, there's two times that I got fumbly was I was directing at Disney Channel, and they said, we need you to come in and direct this Reading Together campaign commercial. I said, okay, cool. Who's the talent in it? And they said it was Jamie Lee Curtis. And I think it was one of the only times that I saw her and was like absolutely tongue-tied. When I saw her, I just was like, oh my God, that's Laurie Strode. Yeah. And I was like, blah, 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 blah. And she recognized it and was like snapping her fingers like, all right, get it out of your system. I was like, all right, okay, I'm good. I can do this. I did that. And then also,
it's funny you were talking about Jamie Lee Curtis. I met PJ Souls a few years ago.
Yeah.
And I kind of did the same thing when I met her because of Rock and Roll High School, and then Halloween, it was one of those childhood crushes, for me. And when I met her,
I started to direct her. I started to direct her, and I just went, and then she looked at me like, stop looking at Jamie Lee Curtis and direct. I was like, oh, okay. Sorry. Yeah. You're right.
I mean, how can you not, though? I mean,
I know, it was just like and even getting better with age, just getting an Oscar. She's just an incredibly cool person.
Yeah, absolutely.
A couple more questions there.
Okay, what you got?
If you can read my writing.
Okay, I like this one because you may like this little side bit on this one. So, this question is, what inspired Gingerdead Man
and Demonic Toys?
Okay, that Gingerdead Man, that's an easy question. I was a writer for National Lampoon magazine when it was cool still. I think now it doesn't exist anymore. And I was involved in LA theater sports, comedy sports, a lot of improv shows. So I was very involved with a lot of comedy here in town. And I really wanted to either write on Mad TV or be on Mad TV. Well, I didn't get on as a performer. And I thought, well, I really want to write on this. So I would write sketches and I would slip them to my friends to give to the head writers of the show and try to get sketches on the show. And I wrote this short called Gingerdead Man, which was basically a woman was cooking with Poppin' Fresh dough, and Poppin' Fresh came to life and started killing everyone in the family. Well, they loved it, except for they had already done Snuggie, the Snuggie Bear sketch, and which was basically the same thing, but I didn't know it. So they trashed my sketch. So after working for Charlie Band since I was 17 years old, and I had acted in a bunch of stuff for him, and then I eventually started directing stuff for him, writing stuff for him, he said, I need something cranked out really fast. Like, what's the stupidest, like, catchiest, dumbest thing that you ever thought of? And I was like, I have exactly what you need. He's like, what? I'm like, Gingerdead Man. And he's like, oh my God, you're filming in 2 weeks. And so I fired out this script, the original story. And then Charlie calls me back and goes, okay, thank you for writing a $5 million movie. I cannot do this. How about I give you $500 for the idea and I do my own version? I said, absolutely. I love $500. So he gave me $500 and then he did it. He did it really well. And very funny. He used a lot of my ideas from the story, but there was a lot cut out.
Yeah.
So then it was a couple years later, he wanted to do a sequel and I didn't really want to do it. The thing with Charlie is I say these like stupid things thinking that he'll say no. And then he says yes. I'm like, all right, well, I'll do Gingerdead Man too, but I want Hitler to be in it. I'll say something dumb.
My God.
And then he's like, I love it. Great idea. Put Hitler in Gingerdead Man. So that's how that happened. And what was the other question you said?
Well, I want to add to that, like the original Gingerdead Man. So Gary Busey voiced him.
Yes.
So I actually know and friends with Electra Busey, his daughter. She is a photographer for artists. She goes around tours and does live shot photos for artists and stuff. She's a really cool girl.
She must have a very interesting life at family reunions.
I'm sure, she's told me a few stories. But nothing bad. But enough to make you laugh.
No, nothing bad. Yeah. He's pretty wound up. Gary's pretty wound up.
Yeah.
But yeah,
and a part of the second part of that question was demonic toys, which you did. Was it 3? Because I don't think I've actually seen, because the only demonic toys ones that I know that I had seen was the first one and Doll Man versus.
Yes, I did. I wrote and directed Demonic. Was it Demonic Toys 2? Yes, I did that, which came and went in the blink of an eye.
Yeah.
Oh, are we disconnected?
No, we got you.
Am I still here?
Yeah, you're still here.
Okay.
Yeah.
It was weird. The whole thing went off in turbo. So I had worked for Charlie for 5 years in Rome, living in Rome when I was young. I worked on From Beyond. I worked on Reanimator. I worked on many Empire films in Rome. So I was very familiar with how the Italians work and how they don't work. And so he wanted to do Demonic Toys too. I wasn't really interested in it because the Demonic Toys thing and that Puppet Master thing is a very, very specific niche that I don't have the style and the people that do that. It's a very interesting, unique way of telling a story. But I did want to go to Rome, and he kept begging me, so I said yes. So we went to his castle to film Demonic Toys 2. And it's all right, we film those things in 6 days. Yeah. So frankly, if they cut together, it's a miracle. I'd say, considering that we filmed it in 6 days, I think it's okay to watch. And then what else did I do? Well, years later, I got called to reboot Baby Oopsie, which I think I did it right. I'm very proud of the movie. I'm very proud of the TV series that happened after that. And it was one of the more popular video on demand movies that he ever made, which made me feel really good. It actually gave the original Puppet Master a run for its money, which, not taking away from how cool Puppet Master is, but that made me feel good because I did really roll the dice on that one. And then the last one I did Jack in the Box movie, which ended up on Tubi. And that was my very last hand puppet movie that I'll ever do. That was the straw that broke the hand puppet's back.
Well, now I'm curious why. Would they go?
Well, first of all, puppets are a fucking pain in the ass, number one.
It's like JP.
And
literally, you got to put your hand somewhere.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, not up Jack's ass. I'll tell you that. You know, the thing is there's Charlie's audience is a very smart, savvy audience that really loves, you know, his old school stuff. And so you're kind of in a no-win situation. If you try to refresh it, some of them get mad. And if you try to recreate what's already been done, they get even madder. So it's kind of a no-win situation. And unless you have, like, I think we lucked out on Baby Oopsie because Henson did the mechanics for the puppet, and it turned out really cool. And you know, we did this unique thing where we wrote a part for an ingenue, but we had a woman that doesn't necessarily look like the typical ingenue be the star, and that really paid off. The fans really liked it, and that. But I think that was a crapshoot that paid off, but not with me. My luck. I'm better at doing original things. I'm not really.
Yeah.
You know, I'm learning in my old age. Finally, I'm not really a guy that can recreate something that's already been done and or reboot something. I just am sick of doing that anyway. So
I get that.
Very happy to say that all the new stuff I'm doing is original stuff, which, you know, if I'm going to screw it up, let me screw up my own idea, not Charlie Band's, you know, legendary franchise.
Yeah.
It's just it's dangerous.
Yeah.
You know, you're young and you want to direct stuff, so it's hard to say no when someone says I'd like you to direct something. But the truth of the matter is, when all is said and done, if people hate it, you know, I don't know what the upside of doing you know, some of these things are.
And Demonic Toys 2 was one. Like I said, I missed that one. That's one of the few that I did not get to watch.
Yeah.
And the only reason I watched the original was because, and I bring this guy up almost every one of our episodes because he's one of my favorite low budget directors, which is Albert Pine, or Pien. I always call him Pine.
Oh, Albert Pune.
Yeah,
Albert Pune. Yeah, Albert Pune. He's incredible. I worked a lot with him at Canon. He directed Journey to the Center of the Earth.
He did, and he directed Doll Man, which is why whenever I watched Doll Man versus the Demonic Toys, and that was why I went back and watched the original Demonic Toys, was because of him.
Right.
So,
is he around? Is he around still? Albert?
He passed away last year.
Yeah.
Yeah, he passed.
Yeah, last year. That's what I thought.
Yeah.
I didn't want to say. Yeah, I thought that. Yeah. He was a really great guy.
Yeah.
I liked him a lot.
One of our episodes we focused on. Go ahead.
Oh, Radioactive Dreams.
So it was a very, very
cool.
Yeah, it was very cool. But it was definitely very.
They had never seen Radioactive Dreams, and that was one of my favorite '80s movies.
Oh, that's a good movie.
And it was one that Albert Pune had done, and I loved that movie, and they had never seen it, so I introduced them to it.
You know, it's so sad that young people these days, they don't. Just remember how exciting going to not even Blockbuster, going to like the mom and pop video stores and just standing there for an hour, looking at the artwork, reading the back of the VHS and getting your stack, and just like, that's your Friday and maybe your Saturday. It was such a awesome experience that it's just completely gone away. Now you turn on the digital platform and they offer you like 10 movies, and you get lazy. You don't want to keep scrolling beyond that because you know they have a bunch of clunk. It's just the whole movie experience is just really like gone down the toilet. I hope that there's some other medium that is created. It'll probably be a chip that we have to put in our forehead or something. But you know.
Well, we talk about these challenges.
One thing that makes me sad is like going to the video store and looking at those VHSs and DVDs and so on. One thing that I really hate right now is especially with all the streaming service and digital. I think I love having access to it. However, films like Radioactive Dreams and films like that never got a digital release and never is not available on DVD or things like that. And
all these damn what's the one with the blood and the knife that I have that app. What's that one called? Screambox,
yeah.
It's like Screambox, and it's like I'm a faithful horror person, so I'll subscribe to all of them to support them.
Yeah.
But truth be said, I think I've watched like 2 movies on Screambox, and then Shudder's good, but again, they're like Netflix, where it's like they post like 10 or 11 movies up there, and then anything beyond that is just like, what is this? I'm not gonna watch that. And then what's the other horror one? There's another horror one. Shudder. Oh, Charlie's actually got Charlie Band's Full Moon one actually has some pretty good obscure like Italian horror films. I like that kind of stuff too. I like all those weird Swedish stewardesses and those dumb kind of weird movies. At least it's something different, like I've literally watched everything on every platform. I've gone to the end of the digital streaming world, so even if it's dumb and if I haven't seen it before, I'll check it out.
I feel like you're in a unique situation, especially being a writer, director, actor in this era, because we've covered that exact problem in our minds. It's, you got the Marvel takeover, if you will, where everything's got to be so robotic and rinse and repeat, and it's catered to the dollar, not to the viewer. There's just so much strong, independent, up-and-coming directors and writers. So I find myself going to foreign films more often than not because they're not bound by the Hollywood mentality. So
yeah, and also those Marvel movies, like, I will watch everything, but they all look alike now. They're all so colorful, and it's like hard to keep track of what the hell's. And there's always in these weird, alternate universes where it's just like, my idea of a good superhero movie is like Superman 2, like the old one is like, there you go,
the Donner cut.
That's a fucking movie.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
So
that's a movie.
So how do you feel about the Michael Keaton Batmans? Those are my favorite movies ever.
I liked all of those. I like all of them, and I even liked. I even thought the new The Batman. I thought that was. I mean, it's way too long, but I don't know. It's very very stylish, and it kept my attention. I think overall, I liked most of them. I don't think I liked the one where Anne Hathaway was Catwoman. I was pissed off because I thought she was. No one's ever going to beat Michelle Pfeiffer. They should just keep giving her Botox and having her do it in every movie. Like, no one's ever going to beat Michelle Pfeiffer.
I think you've literally hit every one of my complaints about movies right now, including the editing and the length of movies, and they're too long. So I love it. You're great.
Yeah. I mean, she's wrapped up in black cellophane. Who cares how old she is? Get her out there. Let's do that woman movie, for God's sakes. But yeah, everyone's saying that, you're going to hate the Marvels. You're going to hate the Marvels. I was like, okay, well, now because they say I hate it so much, then I'll probably not hate it so much. Well, sure enough, I hated it. I could barely get through it. It's too colorful and it's too busy. Is saying it's too colorful, is that a dumb thing to say? It's just not at all. Just put it in the real world. I think that's easier for me to relate to than
Frank Miller's the Mad Max Fury Road. They released the noir cut of that, and like the noir cut, the only Marvel movie I liked was the noir cut of Logan, and those black and white styles. Oh, they just hit different.
Yeah, those are cool. What was the other one? I was thinking. Oh, I'm one of the few people that actually liked the Flash movie, though. I will say I thought that was cool. No one liked it.
I loved it.
Yeah,
I loved it.
Yeah, I thought it was cool. I also always vote for the underdog, so I'm kind of hoping that the guy pulls his shit together, the actor, because he's a good actor. We all have a little slip and fall in the drugs and alcohol department, myself included. So I'm kind of hoping for him to have a career. But I didn't hate that one.
I will say,
a stupid thing to say.
I have to say the one thing I loved about that film. I love that they included Helen Slater as Supergirl at the end with Christopher Reeve.
Yes.
No,
I know Helen.
You know
Slater.
You were going to talk about Nick Cage. Come on. Yeah, we thought Nick Cage was coming in.
Helen
Sorry.
Slater. Helen Slater.
My God. And that Nick Cage part was so good. Yeah, that was. Oh my God! Thank you for saying that. That whole thing was awesome.
Yeah.
I liked it. I don't know. I'm surprised I liked it. What's your Marvel go-to Marvel movie if you had to? I realize that we don't really, the 3 or 4 of us don't really care so much about it. What would you say is the best one that?
I like the Deadpools.
For me, not really a movie, but the Punisher series, the Netflix series Punisher, I love.
Oh yeah, I like that. Yeah, that's Marvel.
I think that street level Marvel heroes are that's the only way they're digging out of this. If I'm going to be honest, I feel like
think so too.
I think
I agree.
Yeah, the Daredevil, the Punisher, all that needs to keep being pushed.
Yeah, go back to just punching people in the face and all that. Forget all this like flowery bullshit where you're in space and all that. It's too much. But I think that's why I'm excited about James Gunn, because I'm such a fan of his anyway, even his old stuff. I think he's going to really help with the other company, you know.
Yeah, I love James Gunn. I've been a fan of his since back with Romeo and Juliet and stuff like that he did.
Me too.
And as he progressed, when he did,
he's very creative.
Yeah, as he progressed, he did Slither and
Slither's amazing.
Super. Before he even started doing Marvel films, and I was like, man, this guy's a genius. I remember when he was hired to do Guardians. I was like, I had friends that was like, who is this guy? Never heard of him. And I'm like, let me tell you about the rabbit hole of him, because he has an amazing filmography.
I'm not a super big fan of
he's very creative.
Of new era Gunn, but I'll tell you what I do like about him. I like his bluntness with the fans, because the fanboys can really spiral something in a negative direction, and he's just like, sorry about your luck. He doesn't care.
Yeah, he doesn't care, and that is absolutely how you have to be, because believe me, as a person who has tried to cater to what I think the fans want, it doesn't work. Either you suck at it because it's not who you really are, or you still don't get it the way they want it, and then they still chew you up and spit you out, you know? And the bottom line is, when you meet these people that shit talk you on the internet in person, not a single one of them does. They're very nice in person. It's just when you're at home with your Metallica shirt, drinking your Big Gulp, typing on your computer, it's a lot easier to like talk shit to someone than when you run into them at a horror convention. Because I've had it
Keyboard
done.
warriors.
One of the first. Yeah, right. And I've been one of them. I've been the biggest troll on the planet. I would say, just go with your gut and make projects that make you happy. So that's the best way. And if you can watch it and like it, then that's good enough. Well, it's all a crapshoot.
Well, speaking of projects that make you happy, we want to talk a little bit about what you got in the works with K13 Media.
And when I got your email this morning, I read everything you had sent me, and I was like, this sounds amazing.
Sure.
So I read I saw the Circle of Six, and I was like, this sounds awesome. So yeah.
It is awesome, and I'll tell you why. And I want it to be creative juice for anyone that happens to be listening to this. You know, I spend a lot of time writing screenplays. I've written over 100 screenplays, and I've sold about 20 of them. And I have a big stack of screenplays that are like I said, are movies that I would like to see. One of which was a story called Circle of Six, which was kind of inspired by The Fog. It's about a coven of witches from way back that are put to death by these townspeople, and years later they come back to kind of haunt all of the people in this small town. And it was one of the better things that I ever wrote. It also would be a very expensive movie and or expensive TV series, so it didn't sell. So it sat on my shelf for 3 or 4 years, and my friend Brian Gage, who's a really, really good novelist, he writes vampire novels, he's very known in the vampire world, said he wanted to have dinner with me, and that he had an idea, and he said he was thinking about, he has his own publishing company. He was thinking about doing a graphic novel series. He's an artist. He does hand drawing, Photoshop, 3D modeling, some AI enhancement, and all sorts of methods of creating art that's absolutely beautiful. He brought me this book that he had done, the Nosferatu Chronicles, I think it's called, and it was absolutely cool and punk rock and just really colorful, and I just loved it. And he was like, hey, I want to go into business with you. Would you like to create a brand of graphic novels? And you can do the writing, or we can also have our friends write them, or Brian can write some, and then Brian and I can do the art together. And I had no hesitation in saying yes. So we took Circle of Six, we broke it down into 2 100-page graphic novels under the moniker Terrorphilia. We made this amazing book series that we're just going to do. And the thing that's so great about it, and the reason I was saying it's good for your viewers, is we just said we were going to do it, and we just fucking did it. We didn't get a green light from anyone. We didn't get notes from anyone. We got to design the art the way we wanted to design it, and we're publishing it through Amazon. We didn't even have to go get a publisher. You can self-publish stuff. So, I really encourage any creative people that are living in a small town that feel like they can't get a movie going or they can't get a TV show going, but they feel they got a story in them. Write a story, create a graphic novel, do something, there's ways to get this stuff done. Cause I have to tell you, this came together on my end, certainly very easily, because I had already written the script. Brian, painstakingly created all these animation cells for this thing, but it's just really good. It's basically a story, like I said, about witches that come to haunt a town. There's a little eyedropper of Hellraiser in there. And
nice.
It's turned out really, really good. So for the first 2 issues, which will be coming out on April 1st is the first one, and I think May 1st is the second one. What we're going to do after that is we're going to do 13 short stories. I was a writer on Creepshow last season, and I had so much fun writing short format horror stories that we're going to do 13 short stories that are basically like Creepshow comic books with a host. There's a beautiful hostess, kind of Frankenstein chick that we'll be releasing the photo of very soon as she's done being stitched up, and really excited about that. We're going to release one a month starting in July. We'll release one 40-page short story for throughout the year, and then eventually we'll release them all as a box. We'll do one long-form story, 1 or 2 long-form stories a year, and then do these short ones. I am so excited about it. I'm probably not going to make a dime on it. I'm not here to tell you this so that I can get rich off of it, because you do not get rich off of books, but it is the most creatively satisfying thing I have ever done, just sitting there and creating this world and not having to take notes from a TV network or a movie executive. It's just been really fun.
All of what you just said is beyond inspirational to me. I don't even think these two know this, but my 11-year-old son and I, we're working on putting together a book right now. And it's a children's.
You should do it.
It's a children's book, but the fact that you're out there making leaps and bounds and you're doing self-publishing, utilizing Amazon, you already had all these things put together.
No reason.
No, and I'm also very.
There's no reason to go to a publisher.
Yeah, I completely agree. But I'm also intrigued by your guys' artistic process with this. So you guys have AI augmented graphic novels in this scenario, right?
Some of it, yeah. Some of the backgrounds are AI backgrounds, which I know everybody's ready to get on the hate train for that. But I will tell you this about AI. There was a time period where nobody wanted silent movies to have sound either. And we all know where that headed. The AI train is heading towards Hollywood and into our lives like a fucking freight train. And there's not going to be anything that you're going to be able to do with it other than learn how to let it enhance what you do. It doesn't have to take over what you do. You can let it enhance what you do. And it is a very helpful tool. It is true. It is going to affect the movie industry in a big way. There's going to be movie executives sitting at their desks, typing sentences and creating movies. But for right now, it's a tool that I'm very happy to be learning about.
And I think you put that beautifully. It's kind of one of those deals where you adapt and move forward, or you get left behind, kind of. And so it's kind of one of those fields to explore and learn and get creative.
Yeah.
Now, do I want to watch a movie that a fucking robot made? No, but the thing is that the bottom line is this, and it may be a naive statement, but the bottom line is this: the human experience is something that a computer is never fully going to be able to embrace. They're going to know all the manipulative tricks that we pull as writers to manipulate the audience, but the bottom line is these programs, it'll be years before they're fully able to reproduce the human experience or the connection that a reader has with the writer. And we'll all be long dead before it's too out of control. I did read something really interesting, and I'll shut up in a minute. You guys said you were long-winded. Look what you're
no,
up
you're
against.
fine.
we
You're good.
love
We're
it.
enjoying it.
We could talk forever. That's why we're enjoying this.
Everybody
the
in
one thing,
chat's
well,
really
for
loving
one,
this.
I can't tell you where I heard it from because it's from someone high level, but I'll tell you this. They already know that they can do this whole AI thing because there's a tape of Star Wars going around Hollywood that they loaded Star Wars into one of these programs, and they loaded every single Tom Cruise movie made that into this program somehow, and somehow they replaced Luke Skywalker with Tom Cruise, and apparently you cannot tell the difference. It doesn't have that weird AI thing, that they already know. They're already doing it.
Yeah.
And
Mark Hamill, Tom Cruise, both little whiny guys with strong jaw lines. It's cool.
Right, yeah, very tiny little people. I've worked with Mark Hamill many times. He's a very funny guy.
I'm very jealous.
It's a conundrum. It's a conundrum for sure. But it is interesting, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, and from our side, they're talking about AI writing music, and that's happening. That's the thing. But I've said kind of the same thing that you said, that it's going to be a while before AI can put the emotion and the depth into
you don't
a
see
song.
an AI computer shooting dope behind a gas station for its inspiration. You know what I mean?
That's one extreme way.
It's like, all right, okay, computer, come at me, bro. But I think it's going to be a long while. The other thing I thought was interesting is I read this article the other day that apparently it's going to sound really stupid, but apparently in the future you're going to be able to like, oh, I want to watch Star Wars, and I want you three to be in it with me, and I'll be able to select your avatar, and it'll somehow generate all of us in Star Wars in real time somehow.
Be like Ready Player One, just a VR world that you're just going to go through the movie.
Yeah.
What he just
So
said is
bizarre.
you're too
Anyway,
fledgling.
I like old movies. Bottom line is I like old fucked up movies, and I'm on the wrong side of 50, so I'll be dead soon enough, and I'll be able to take the memory of the cool movies with me, and
Nonsense.
Kids figure it out.
I'm the same way, and I get made fun of a lot for it because I love everything from Dr. Strangelove to like Dementia 13. Then you get into a lot of the old Roger Corman stuff, and then you get into like the 80s canon films, and
right,
just especially like a lot of those all the Up All Night USA Up All Night films was like Hell Came to Frogtown. And
yes, I auditioned for that film too.
Yeah, you go from Hell. You can watch films called Hell Came to Frogtown, then you can try and watch Virgin High, and and it's like I love those films. I love that time period.
Any Fred Olin Ray movie, I'm good to watch.
Yeah.
So just so you guys know, as you guys are listening and watching, if you want to check out this project, Circle 6, as well as the Nosferatu Conspiracy, go to K13, it's the letter K, number 13, media.com, and you guys can check it out. We'll put some of the links in the live chat, just so you guys can have those for reference and check those out too. I, for one, am going to be ordering this, subscribing however I can, especially when the series pops up.
Yeah.
Just alone.
Me too, actually. I'm excited.
Your guys' T-shirt alone with the artwork for the Nosferatu Conspiracy, that T-shirt picture alone kind of lured me in. So I'm really intrigued and curious. What's that?
Brian is brilliant. He's Brian, my partner, Brian Gage. He's absolutely brilliant. He works so hard on this stuff, and God forbid anybody make the mistake of thinking that it's all AI with all the bleeding that he's done for these pages. So,
well,
I guess it's unavoidable.
I think on your page too, it also highlights how you guys favor the creator. So I don't think that you guys by any means are just focused on AI, but I like the implementation of how you guys are balancing it out. You guys are all about the unique ideas, the human element, and I'm here for it. I'm a big fan.
Yeah, for sure. And, AI is just another tool. It's certainly not at any level where you can type, believe me, you can't just type what you want and it churns it up. Anybody that's played with AI absolutely knows what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
There's a lot of third eyes and missing fingers and, no blood, no, one of these days somebody will invent a gore AI program, and we'll all sit at home, making Chainsaw Massacre pictures all day instead of mowing the lawn.
Yeah, a lot of times you'll go to create that stuff, and it'll say, "It's too violent, cannot generate," or something to that nature. I've ran into that playing with it.
Yeah.
You know what I feel is a very serious topic, as long as we're on that topic, the AI world. The only thing that's really weird is, so like, if you guys create the art, like, you guys can lock in the art as yours, but when these things are initially generated, the copyright laws really are kind of wonky at this juncture. They're not as specific as they need to be. They need to figure that stuff out for sure.
Oh yeah, they better fast, because that's true. And also people that use it need to be cautious, because who knows if it could be retroactive or whatever, They'll figure a way to charge us.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Oh yeah. Somebody's always going to make money.
Except for us.
Except for us.
Well, all I can say is, for anyone listening, I hope you can hear the cuckoo clock cuckooing above my head. For anybody listening, if you want to be creative, just be creative. Don't let anybody tell you that you're not good enough or that you can't do it. The tools are out. You can make a movie on your iPhone now. It's like there's no reason to not do it, and just do things that you want to see. And if it's something that nobody else wants to see but you, then make it for yourself. Yeah.
HBO's trying to get some of the new Game of Thrones season filmed upright so that it fits in people's phones. I thought that was interesting.
That's so funny. Did you guys watch that Jodie Foster the crime drama thing?
I haven't yet.
The True Detective
good.
season 4?
Yeah.
Is that it? Yeah.
Yeah,
I haven't watched it yet.
It was good.
So I watched True Detective
good,
through season 2. I didn't see the third season. And then everyone, though I haven't seen the fourth part yet, the big thing I'm hearing is there's a supernatural element. So I'm kind of intrigued. I think that'd be cool, if that's the case.
It was good. I won't ruin it for you.
It feels that way for sure.
Yeah,
it's pretty cool. The sets are pretty. The ending set is really cool. This big ice tunnel is really neat. But I liked it. And she just can't do any wrong. She's just so talented.
Yeah, she's great. Do we have any questions? Any other questions?
No, go ahead.
Okay. I do have one question that I do want to ask, because I read it on your Wikipedia. That it.
Okay.
So I wanted to.
Which is written by 16-year-old boys.
Yeah. So I wanted to.
Sorry, this is great. Yeah. I give James grief about reading off Wikipedia all the time.
He does. But when I saw
JP's
this,
on it right now in a live interview. And
when I saw it, I wanted to ask if this was true to this, or.
It better not be something shitty in Wikipedia. I'll go down there and.
No, it wasn't real shitty. It wasn't shitty.
William Butler throwing hands. All right.
Return of the Living Dead 3 and 4. Now is
4 and 5
or 4 and 5? Yeah.
It's 4 and 5.
Yeah,
yes.
It is 4 and 5. Sorry.
What's your question?
It says on your Wikipedia, claim to be upset about those films.
Upset is not the fucking beginning of it. Upset. Okay, so here.
Wow. All right.
One other time, and I'll talk because you guys are cool, and we're mostly hanging out. Okay, so I got hired to write Return of the Living Dead 4.
Yeah.
I wrote Return of the Living Dead 4, and the movie bounced around for 5 years. It ended up at Lakeshore Entertainment, and with Toby Hooper attached to direct it. And then Lakeshore decided that they wanted to cut out Tom Fox, who was the EP, who's now passed away. And they said, we love your script about a zombie amusement park. We have 2 notes for you. Can you take out the zombies and take out the amusement park?
What?
So they were offering me $300,000 for the screenplay. I said, I'll write the goddamn thing to take place on the Hindenburg if you want. So
fair. Very fair.
I polished the script to be no amusement park and no zombies. And then somebody had lunch with one person and the other, and they were supposed to be included as a producer, and the movie had been greenlit and was in pre-production with Toby Hooper. And the next thing I knew, the plug was pulled on it because this guy that was supposed to produce that said he would sue them if the movie got made. So guess what? Turn it back into a Return of the Living Dead movie. So I turned it back into a Return of the Living Dead movie. Then this Russian company bought the script, and they said they wanted to split it into 2 movies, to part 4 and part 5, which doesn't make any fucking sense, because in order to have part 5, a lot of the people from part 4 would have to still be alive. So we cut the script in half, and then little by little, I just realized that the people that were in charge, they didn't know anything about the franchise. They didn't know the rock and roll element. They didn't know the sense of humor element. They didn't know, they did not know that these zombies can't be killed. They can't be shot in the head and killed. And they kept insisting that we put these notes. So Aaron Strongoni and I jumped ship on it. So we still were paid a fucking fortune for these scripts. So when they took the scripts away and they went to go polish them themselves, I had the option to take my name off of it. We had our options to take our name off of it or leave it on there. And my manager at the time was like, just leave it on there. I mean, how bad can it be? Well, as it turned out, the only time we ever saw the movies where they could not give these movies away with a hot meal. They were so bad. They took place on an American college campus, and they decided to film them in Romania, where there's absolutely no people that can do an American accent. There's all these people with Romanian accents, and this, director who had done Eight-Legged Freaks, who was an absolute genius on Eight-Legged Freaks, but had gone through a few things where it seemed like perhaps he wasn't all there while he was directing the 2 films, and the films turned out absolutely horrible. The only time that Aaron and I have ever seen these 2 films is when we saw them appear on Sci-Fi Channel, which is the only place that would air them. They're so bad.
That's where I saw them first.
That's where I saw it.
They're horrible.
I saw it when they spelled it the old way.
Yeah. And so it pisses me off because, number one, I have a contingency of people that trust what I do, and I stupidly left my name on them out of selfishness. I should have taken my name off of it. And they're horrible, and they just killed the whole franchise, and we feel partially responsible for that. I mean, listen, I'm not easy to work with when you buy a script from me and you want to produce it. I am one of the annoying writers who keeps chiming in, and it was a losing battle. I'd see these drafts where they're saying zombies are getting shot in the head, and it's just, after a while, it's just, the problem is with stupid people is that they don't know that they're stupid.
Yeah.
I
So
say that every day.
if you keep saying to them, the fans are going to hate this because you can't shoot a Return of the Living Dead zombie in the head and kill them. It doesn't work that way. They look at you like you're being a weird pain in the ass, as opposed to somebody that actually knows what they're talking about, because I am one of those fans. So we just stopped chiming in, and as a result, bye-bye Return of the Living Dead. I don't know that they'll ever even reboot. I hope that they don't reboot it, because my experience with anybody in any of these companies, they did not understand the franchise at all. And I frankly think that the first movie was, from what I heard from Tom Fox, the fact that it was funny was a mistake. I think they thought that they were making a really serious horror film, and the fact that it came out kind of campy was an accident, which worked in all of our favor, didn't it?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It was really cool, and I think Tom's idea to put rock music in there at the last minute really turned it into something special, and then it got put in the Billy Butler meat grinder, and I ruined it for everyone. I don't know what to say.
Yeah, no.
It's too many cooks in the kitchen on that one.
I'll tell you what I got from all of that. I got that you're fan first, and I appreciate that. That's what I got.
Yeah, come on. Like, if I don't want to fucking watch it, why are you making the movie? Like, there's nobody. I'll literally watch anything, that's horror or sci-fi. And they just did not. They were like, "Oh, you're over." No, they're not going to notice. I'm like, they're going to notice. Yeah. Believe me, they're going to know.
I'm still traumatized.
So bad.
I have dreams about the punk rock chick from. There's that scene where her mouth extends over the guy's head. and she.
Oh, right.
Yeah, so I literally had a dream where it was a zombie scenario, and they're closing in, and she was the one who got me. I just saw the light, the light closed out, turned dark as her mouth came over my head. It was awesome.
Well, and the funny.
I mean, I think it's a testament. It's a testament as to why zombie stuff is just so unstoppable. It's the most horrific nightmare scenario, that probably will happen one day. It's just. I love all Walking Dead, Fear the Walking Dead, Walking Dead Down the Street, The Crawling Dead. I'll watch any of it.
Yeah.
Nicotero is a very good friend of mine.
I was very happy with Dead City. So I just that was the last one I just saw.
Yeah, I even watched Z Nation. That's what a nerd I am.
No, I love that. Z Nation was great.
Yeah.
Oh, that was a good show.
So I love that show. So anyway, it looks like I have been talking nonstop.
Oh, you're fine.
Everyone's enjoyed it, bud.
One thing I do want to say, you said that what you were told or understood that the first Return of the Living Dead was meant to be serious. That just blows me away, because Tom Matthews in the first and second one, and Tom Matthews is just so funny, and
I just love that guy. He's such a great guy. He's so funny. And Tom said they thought they were making a serious movie. Maybe the actors, sensed what it was more so than the
they understood
producers.
the assignment. They understood the assignment.
Yeah,
as actors,
for sure.
It's kind of
such a great movie, man.
It's kind of like we were talking about the movie Scream before we got on, but Scream 3. I always say this, that everybody in Scream 3 act like they're doing this serious movie, and Scream 3 is completely bonkers. I think it's the most bonkers one of the Scream franchise. And Parker Posey, I think, has understood the assignment. She came in and played the role campy as crap, and I thought it was amazing.
Right.
And it's kind of.
I never missed a Scream movie. Boy, what's going on with that franchise now? Everybody's quitting, getting fired.
Yeah.
Don't you think it's about time that they just suck it up and give that girl her money so she comes back and fixes it?
Well, we were talking about either Nev or Matthew Lillard, either one of them, because we still don't know if he's dead for sure. That bring some life back.
Give her some money, for crying out loud. I mean, it's like they made enough on it.
Yeah.
It's just so silly. It's just supposed to show you they know our breaking point in this business, But
well, Mr. Butler, I just wanted to
thank you guys.
No, I wanted to thank you as well, sincerely from the bottom of my heart, because you didn't make this feel like an interview. This felt like we were having a great discussion about cinema, and that's what matters to me. It showed me you're a fan first, and I love that. I'm sure we could probably do 2 more hours worth of content with your career, and it's beyond impressive. And
anytime.
We're happy to
come
have
back
you.
anytime, and if I go to Ohio, we got to hang out and dork out. And,
for
absolutely,
sure.
Absolutely.
So, I was told to feed you
VHS tapes and drink beer on the floor.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Oh well, I'll take you to all the breweries too. We'll make a day of it.
Hold on, real quick.
Hey, have you guys been to the Haunted House restaurant?
My wife has. I have not. My wife has.
I was going to, and
the food's horrible, but
yeah, I was going to, but we couldn't.
The food's terrible.
Mr. Butler, I just wanted to tell you real quick,
terrible.
I'm not a giant horror fan like these two are, but I've had the best time listening to everything you've had to say today. I love hearing background stories.
Thank you guys. You guys are awesome.
This has been awesome. My wife's been listening. She's been texting me. She's loving it. So thank you so much for your time.
Live chat was super.
Cool.
The live chat was super engaged. Thank you guys so much.
Oh my God, I was so afraid of what they might be saying. But thank you so much, you guys, for inviting me. It really means a lot to me. And everybody go chase your bliss. And if you have a parent or a wife or a brother who's telling you can't do it, just tell them to cram it and just do your own thing.
Oh yeah.
And definitely check out his new graphic novel, Circle of Six. It comes out April 1st. I'm actually going to pick this up because as soon as I saw this, I was super excited. I was like, "This is awesome! I want to read this." So yeah.
Okay, cool. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
All right.
I appreciate you having me. Have me again sometime.
Absolutely, anytime.
Gladly.
Okay, bye.
All right, bye.
Thank you guys.
Ciao. See ya.
All right, thank you guys. Until next time, we are your CineNerds.
Later, guys.
Bye.